This course introduces Lean Six Sigma process mapping. By the end of the course you will be able to learn: what are process maps? Why are process maps used? The basics of a process map. 30,000 feet view process map. Detailed process map. Types of flow charts. How to read a flow chart. Let's get started. What is a process map? It is a graphical representation of the process, as is, a visual model of the process, showing the flow of products, services, data and information. What does it do? A process map identifies the sequence of activities in that process, or the flow of materials, or of information within the process. What is its purpose? A process map forces you to focus on the boundaries of the process, where a process starts, where it ends, how material and information flow, where are the decisions taken and what are rework paths. Finally, what is the actual scope of the process, that is, what is not included in the process. Things to prepare before creating a process map. The first step is to make a SIPOC or copy-as. SIPOC is a very high-level view of a process which indicates the inputs and outputs, the supplier, the customer and the actual process. We will learn about SIPOC and how to create them in a separate section. The next step is to create a 30,000 feet view map or the bird's eye view map. This is the process part of a SIPOC, which is a simple 6 to 7 steps map. The basic symbols of a process map. First, an oval, which tells you the starting point and the ending point of the process. Second, a rectangle, which denotes a specific task or activity that contributes to the process. Third is a bullet, which indicates waiting. A point where materials, data or information is held up due to design or implementation. Fourth is a diamond, which denotes a decision point. Based on the decision, the process will continue in one direction or another. An arrow, which indicates the direction of travel or flow. A circle, which is an interpage connector. Before we discuss how to make a process map, we will discuss the different types of process maps. First is a top-down process map. A top-down process map provides sub-steps to a process but without the rework loops. Second is a linear process map. A linear process map is similar to just any ordinary flow diagram or a flow chart, and is probably the most common and most conventional. Next is the opportunity flow chart, which breaks things up into value-added or non-value-added activities. This can be very easily made from a linear process map. Finally, a swim lanes process map. As can be seen in the diagram, this map identifies people or departments responsible along the flow. Before we cover the types of process maps in detail, we will discuss some guidelines of making a process map. Most of them are essential and some are good to have. Start from a very high level. Start from a very high level and build your ownership and shared understanding with the team. Do not jump into a solution mode and start solving problems. Make sure that you fully involve the team and all appropriate stakeholders. Process or Gemba walk. If possible, before making a process map, do a process or Gemba walk or just observe the process beforehand. It is important to do just an observation to see what people do, what they don't do, before you have the processing session. We will learn about Gemba walks in a future section. Initial mapping with sticky notes. A good practice is to do a session with the team using sticky notes. Why? If the facilitation happens directly onto a formal mapping software, A. The discussion becomes biased towards the person running the tool. B. It is not easy for the team to contradict. C. The complexity of the flow will act as a hindrance to the team members. Next guideline, consistent level of detail. Keep a consistent level of detail throughout the map. For example, if you show 20 steps in how a call is picked up, but only 3 steps in the complete documentation, ACW and call closing, then it will affect the details. Try and keep a consistent level of detail in all areas of a process. If an area has to be investigated, do a drill down and then validate the drill down with stakeholders. Fifth guideline, keep it simple and readable. A process map is a visual representation of a process. It helps in analysis, in communication and calibration. Keeping it simple and readable ensures that it meets all these objectives. Next, SME. The people who are a part of the process should be the creators of the process map. A detailed brainstorming should be done with qualified representatives from the teams when the process mapping is being done. Decision points. Decision points should have only 2 outputs, a yes or a no. Sometimes a decision point is also used to show a three-way flow, however it's an exception and not the norm. Finally, arrows should be unidirectional. Now returning to types of process maps. We will cover all the 4 types discussed earlier and touch upon key features of each. Top-down process map. The top-down process map is just one level deeper than the 30,000 feet view map. In other words, it is one level deeper than the P in SIPOC. To make a top-down flow map, begin with the 5 or 7-step high-level process map made as part of SIPOC creation, and then add next-level details to it. Making a top-down process map is easy. Also, there are no feedback loops, exception paths, etc. It is excellent to help get started, before jumping into a detailed flowchart. Linear process map. A linear process map. A linear process map is similar to just any ordinary flow diagram or a flowchart and is probably the most common and most conventional. Let's discuss linear flowcharts with an example. The example shown is of making an online purchase of a book. First, notice the flow. A good linear flowchart should have a clear direction of the path with the least negative decision, or the main path. We are saying that direction is left to right. Next, all exception paths are top to bottom. Also, notice how start, end and interpage connectors are clearly indicated. I am sure you will agree that this is clutter-free and very easy to understand. These are some of the key features of a linear flowchart. Opportunity flowchart. An opportunity flowchart can be considered as an upgrade to a linear flowchart. In an opportunity flowchart, the direction of the main and exception paths might be changed. In this flowchart, the opportunity steps are clearly indicated, giving a visual of when the process works really when and which are the opportunities to make improvements. In other words, the value-add steps and non-value-add steps are clearly marked. Before we proceed, we should spend a moment to understand what are value-add steps and what are non-value-add steps. What is a value-added activity? For some activity to be called a value-added activity, 3 things must be true. First, the customer or client must be willing to pay for it. Second, the thing must be changed in some way, that is, when value-added work is done, the form, fit or function of a thing is changed, and finally the work must be done right the first time. If any of these 3 points are missing, the step or process cannot be said to be a value-add. All activities in the process can be divided into VA, that is, value-adding activity, NVA or non-value-adding activity. NVA are further classified into essential non-value-adding or value-enabling activities. These are activities which do not produce any customer value, but are essential for creating another value-added activity. Non-essential non-value-adding activities are called muda. They are the 7 deadly sins. We will learn about muda and wastes in the section on lean wastes. Now back to opportunity flowcharts. Let's understand them with an example. The example is one of the oldest. It is from a time when I was in college and printers were all the rage. In this example, as you can see, the flow is not from left to right. Instead, all the value-adding steps are visually grouped together and the non-value-adding, or opportunities, are on another side. In your Six Sigma journey you will notice that in any given process 90% activities are non-value-adding. Most organizations make the mistake of trying to reduce cycle time of their value-adding activities to achieve efficiency. However, it is a mistake, because work on only 10% activities cannot give great cycle time results. The swim lane flowchart. Swim lane flowcharts are used in almost all places, at times at the cost of other types of flowcharts. Swim lane flowcharts can have a lot of visual clutter, however, they're helpful in indicating the departments where problems are. Let's understand with an example. In the example shown, the sales call starts and ends in the sales department. All approvals are done by management and credit checks are done in the credit department. The flow clearly shows the tasks done by each department. This helps in resolving issues quickly. At the end of this section, you have learned different types of flowcharts, the basics of flowcharts and how to make flowcharts. Be sure to go through the section on SIPOC and 2 small workshops, one on doing a flowchart session with sticky pads and another on how to read flowcharts like a black belt. The next session will be on the lean wastes, Poka-yoke and Kanban.